Hey guys, it's Nikki here. I'm here today to do my spoiler-free review for The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. I enjoyed this book as much as I enjoyed the first. It's still that epic adventure that you really want. And I did say spoiler-free. I'll be as spoiler-free as possible. There's certain things that will come out that if you've read the first book, you'll know about, but we'll try not to reveal too much. And like I said, this does pick up where the first book ends. It's still that epic adventure that you started with. At this point, you're in the middle of kind of like your typical adventure story. You have hit the low point and you are building that slow crescendo up to the climax of the story where you get like the final battle and resolution. And the book really does good giving you the stepping stones to get to that finale. Like I said, it is still the grand adventure to return the cursed item from whence it came. So they're returning the ring to the fires of Mount Doom in hopes that it'll help destroy the great evil. I stuck with my normal 3 likes, 3 dislikes, and as per normal, I will start with my 3 likes. The first like I have is the interactions of Frodo and with Smeagol and Faramir. I did enjoy those because it was interesting to see him interact with people who didn't necessarily know his journey that he was going to be taking, but they knew people who either were a part of it or knew kind of about the burden that he was undertaking himself. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, seeing that interaction with him being friendly but still having secrets, and I really enjoyed it, and it just added an extra little dimension to his character, in my opinion. My second like is the expansion of Legolas and Gimli as friends. I enjoyed it when they really kind of got into it at the end of the first book, and it continued so solidly in this second book. I love where it's gone, and I cannot wait to read more of their little adventures. It's just this fun friendship with just like a little bit of competitiveness because they want to show off to each other to show their battle prowess, and it's so fun to read because under the grandstanding, they're just really concerned about each other, and it's really sweet. And finally, my third like is the motherfucking Ents. They are fabulous, let me tell you. Oh, they are easily the single most interesting thing to me that has been introduced outside of the Fellowship, and I love them. And I wish there was more about them because they were so cool. So cool. And that's all I'm gonna mention for my likes. And I try, even though that seems super weird and out of context and vague, I'm doing that on purpose because I don't want to give too many spoilers away. Moving on to my dislikes, which, while few and far between, I did find 3, but they're pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. They didn't hold any more weight than the things I liked. So we'll have our first negative. The pacing was slow, and this will be the most major one. Even though I thought the pacing in the first one was really good, it maintained the similar kind of pacing, but it moved a lot more slowly in the second book because I feel like they were accomplishing a smaller goal by the time they got to the end of The Two Towers. I felt like the distance traveled and the goals accomplished were a little bit less. And it's not like they were less important, they were just less time consuming. And because of that, building up to the greater action that you kind of got at the end, it did drag a little bit with all of the traveling that everybody had to do. And it did impact my enjoyment of the book. Not tons, because a lot of it was really well written. It was just a lot of walking scenery and a lot of walking dialogue, which just, like I said, made the story drag a little bit. It's not a huge thing, just it's probably the most major of the 3. My second negative is, I think it's Shelob, is how you say it, Shelob's lair. And it's not because there's a spider. It is because it's gross and dark, and the thought of being in what J.R.R. Tolkien described makes my skin crawl. It's disgusting. And my third and final dislike is Grim Wormtongue. He was very creepy, very manipulative, and I know he was written to be that way. He made my skin crawl to the same level as Shelob's lair, and it was he's disgusting, and again. And that's all I have to say about my likes and dislikes. Having done the summary and likes and dislikes, I will be moving on to the characters. Here are the characters. I'm gonna start vague and go a little bit more specific. All the characters got a little bit more development, which was awesome. The friendships became more concrete, which was really nice. You got the really good expansion with Gimli and Legolas, and you got a lot of one-on-one time with Sam and Frodo, which really I love because you got to see their friendship that had already been established before the story started, but it grew and solidified in such a way that I loved their loyalty to each other, especially Sam's loyalty to Frodo. It's just amazing to see. I love that as the world increases and expands, the cast of characters expands. Like, you get a lot of side characters and background characters that are important to the overall success of the journey they're on, even if they're not necessarily important to the story being told in the immediate vicinity. And I love getting and like interacting with them and just seeing them in their natural world. Like I mentioned the ants earlier, these are one of those groups of people that just were really interesting to read. And Samwise Gamgee of the Shire. I think you would call him the innocent little cinnamon roll. Or at least he starts off that way. But he is just sweet and honest and loyal, and he is easily, hands down, my favorite character. He is the greatest friend you could ever ask for, and I could only hope to find my equivalent of Samwise Gamgee in the real world someday. He is just a good person and an amazing friend, and I love reading about him because he's just so honest and forthright, and he's just so determined to help his friend, and I love it. And I don't know what else to say about the characters. Like, if you've read the first book, you know what they're like. If you've read this book, you know what they're like. There's really not a lot of detail I can go into without like wrecking the story, I guess. With that said, I'll move on to the wrap up. It's very like the rating I'm giving it is very similar to, well, I think it's the same as the first book. It's a very solid sequel. It moves the story along really effectively. Although the pacing was really slow, the book got where it needed to go, and the characters did what they needed to do within the story. It's a solid plot with these very interesting branches and points of view as you read about the different characters. And it's just an amazing cast of characters like I talked about, especially with Sam, but everybody in that group is just so interesting, and so there's so much potential in them, and I can't wait to read as their characters expand more. It's going to be really exciting. The pacing was slow, but the rest of the book really made up for it, and that gave me the ability to give this book a 4 out of 5. I know I've been giving a lot of 4s out lately. I've been really lucky. I've also been reading books that I'm pretty sure I'm going to like, which helps, but just for the reasons above, this book was great. 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. And that's all I gotta say. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.